It's the Erskin Music Show. We are here today. It is the Wednesday edition. I've got a special guest, Kevin Schrum. He's going to be coming and sharing with us in just a little bit. But this is the last day of the weekly daily show. Oh, people crying? Oh, well, don't be crying because later on today I'm doing an interview with Christian Media Spotlight. I'm going to broadcast that probably on Thursday or so, or Friday. And then Saturday, I've got another program that's coming to you called Way Forward, where we're going to be talking about racial reconciliation from two guys who have known each other for a long time, done a lot in ministry together. And now we find ourselves here at this critical juncture, making jokes, talking about LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and whatever else we can manage to get ourselves into. And so that is the program for the Erskin Music Show coming up. And we'll have some weekly editions that are coming up. I've got Ed Milich and his show that I'm going to be doing next week. And so you're not going to lack for any content that's coming from Erskin Music. We're just going to change it up from a little daily format. Going to be doing a little bit of more traveling, going to be doing some more playing. And so for those of you who saw my newsletter, you know that it's about time for us to get out and about. And yes, there's COVID that's still out there. And yes, we're going to be traveling some. And so we're praying for the Lord's protection and safety. In Psalm 18, the verse of scripture for the day, the word of God. Here it is from Psalm 18, verse 25. With the faithful, you prove yourself faithful. With the blameless man, you prove yourself blameless. With the pure, you prove yourself pure. But with the crooked, you prove yourself shrewd. And so let us be aware of the glory of the Lord and how the Lord deals faithfully with each of us and compassionately with many of us through Christ Jesus. And so we're going to bring our guest, Kevin Schrum. He was a pastor here in East Nashville, and he has been a good friend of ours, good friend of our families for many years. When we first moved to Nashville, our kids were part of the Awanas program at the church where he pastors that, and also served and worked that Awanas program until my kids got a little bit older and got out of the Awanas program. And so it's just always good to have conversations with him. We have had so many conversations about what the term race related, it's really ethnicity, but that's okay. We'll deal with that later. Race related conversations, that it's ironic that we now find ourselves in a position where everybody's talking about what we've been talking about for the last, 4 or 5 years. But we're not going to get into that initially. For those of you who are watching part of the Erskin Music Show, who are artists who are out there, whether you're watching on Facebook Live or you're joining us this morning from YouTube Live, I just wanted to say you're going to want to plug in with the first part of what it is that we're going to be talking about today, because here is a man who has seen the rise, the fall, the revival, the fall. Oh, whatever. I don't know where we're at, the seasons of Christian contemporary music, but he's seen it all. He's seen some things in his day, and he's going to be sharing some stories about what it's like to be an artist. And for those artists that are out there who have been asking me, hey, what are the resources? What are some things that we could have? This is an incredible person resource that you can have this morning, because he's going to be sharing with us how to keep your heart pure, how to keep yourself focused on the Lord as you travel around, as you go around, as you engage in this music ministry, in this particular culture, in this age. And so we're going to welcome to the show here. And let me get my fanfare ready. Ooh, fireworks. That's amazing. All right, we're going to get our fanfare ready, and we're going to bring to the stage Pastor Kevin Schrum.
Hey, man. How are you? Hey, listen, man. Hey, listen, can I get the intro?
I can't get it to stop. I really.
Well, that's what a lot of people
doesn't
say
do
about me.
that.
They just can't get me to stop.
The thing just broke.
Hey, can I get an intro like that? Can I get the copy of the 2-minute intro that you've got for your
countdown?
program? Yeah, and then what I'm going to do is wherever I go, I just plug it in and speak after that. I need to get something like that, man.
Well, I can hook you up.
I love that.
Yeah, you come out to your own music, come out to your own little band or fanfare.
Yeah, do the whole thing, man. Just, yeah, I love that. I love that.
That's what they do in the black church, essentially. It's not a countdown.
In what church?
An organ.
Oh, in what church?
In the black church.
Oh. I thought it was just a church.
Well,
don't get me going
if you
there.
Go in there, it'll be the church.
It'll
be all black people in there.
You know what I'm going to say. That's why Erskin has me on here. I'm kind of like the John MacArthur of Erskin's life. He goes on Larry's and he says, Larry, why do you have me on? He goes, because I know what you're going to say. But anyway, hey brother,
I'm poking him.
Yes, poke me. Hey, listen, I know you mentioned the what we're going to be talking about today are the artist and keeping pure and all that stuff. So is that what we're chewing on today?
Yeah, let me welcome everybody to the show. Little banner scrolling down there. Hey guys, good morning. Thank you for joining. Some comments that coming in. Hey, that's neat. Viewers, plugging in with what's going on here. For those of you that never seen the show before, it's okay. The show's about to go off the air. There's all my Instagram stuff, social media stuff. You can see that there. Hey, do you have anything that you're wanting to plug? A brand that you're wanting to plug? Or do you want me to just say Kevin Schrum, man loves Jesus?
Dude, here's my intro. I have a lot of, I've spoken a lot of times and people will introduce me. Here's my name's Kevin. The Lord saved me. I got a great wife, some great kids, family, and got a couple of degrees. I'm kind of like the insurance commercial. He may know a thing or two because he's singing a thing or two. So, but other than that, I'm just a common, ordinary kind of guy. So,
okay, I'm working on that. I'm working on your intro. It's something like this. It may not exactly be right, but here's Kevin. He loves the Lord. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, hang on a second.
Well, I didn't put smart in there, man. Where'd you get the smart thing?
You got a couple of degrees. I've only got so many characters that I can use.
Yeah, just that's not important, man. I'm not. Who's in control of this show, man? Are you in control?
Unfortunately,
who's the producer, man?
Unfortunately,
I love you, brother.
I want to emphasize. I don't know how you emphasize particular characters on here, but great wife.
Oh yeah, no, that right there is the smartest thing. I mean, I'm married way above my pay grade. I mean, dude, I think you did too.
Yeah, I was gonna say we who are in ministry all have.
Yes.
And have recognized the beauty and the benefit of that. All right, sir, you're on the show. You got it today. There's people that are watching from all over the world. So hit them with the flex.
Okay, let me give you my story about Christian music. I started going to Christian concerts in the late 70s. And I kind of grew up with the CCM kind of whole shtick, Striper and second chapter of Acts and, all that whole deal. And a lot of those concerts I saw in local churches. And then what happened was as the Christian music ministry turned into an industry, it moved mostly out of churches into arenas, parks, different venues. And then it kind of,
sorry about that.
Hey man, maybe that's going to go off every like 3 seconds when I say something stupid.
It's not. Anyway, it literally just broke today. Like I've tried to turn it back on several times, and it's just stuck on the Rasta sound.
That's okay.
Broke the sound effects
on your last day, man.
On the last day.
So after it kind of hit the, it became an industry and a business, and not that it wasn't a ministry, but then Christian music kind of went all over the place. And then you begin to see some of the casualties of people that were in that music ministry business in Christian music. And I've seen, gosh, I'm not going to name names. I've met many of these folks. I've seen the rise and fall of many. I've seen successful people that have stayed, put, stayed centered, and it's been interesting to see the development. And now, I think Christian music is really uh, searching for its soul. To be honest with you, I think in many ways it's come full circle. Um, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next, decade or so about what happens to Christian music. But anyway, that's kind of a general thing, and of those things. I remember, gosh, when I first saw, I mean, this will age me, but I saw Sandy Patty and Larnell Harris fill a 10,000 seat stadium in Cincinnati. I saw the second chapter of Acts and Petra fill a 25,000 seat arena. Oh yeah. Like Petra, those guys are in wheelchairs, aren't they? Or some, I don't know. They're
they would be offended by that.
I've seen all the classics, the Stephen Curtis Chapmans, all those folks. And then I've seen a lot of stuff lately, a lot of artists, and listen to that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't listen as much to pop Christian music as I used to. I'm kind of an underground Christian music kind of guy, because I think a lot of the best music now is kind of that, not the boutique, but more of an originalist, more of a creative artist and stuff like that. So anyway, that's the general thing of what I've been seeing. And if you want me to, I can get into some ideas and issues about why I think some people make it and some people don't. I don't know whether you want to go there or not.
We'll get to that in just a second here. We got a little time this morning. We're going to take some time. It's not every day that we get a chance to have Pastor Kevin Schrum come to our show.
Oh,
so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Some of those artists that are out there who don't get a lot of radio play, maybe don't get any radio play, who are just out there grinding, going from church to church, kind of like Erskin music, and a lot of people who listen to the Erskin show who are out there making fantastic music. I saw one of my brothers that's out in Portland right now, Sharif Aman. He's got some incredible music that's out there. Nobody knows who he is, but man, he's serving the Lord. He loves Jesus.
Yeah.
Quality music. And there's tons of people who are out there who are like that. And so if you are one of us, you keep it up, because like Pastor Kevin Schrum has said, Christian music is searching for its soul. And I believe the soul of Christian music, the soul of where God is moving, is among the independent artists and those who are just making music to the glory of King Jesus.
Yeah, Erskin, I'd like to tell you that what you're grinding away in these other artists, which I think is so true. I'd like to tell you that you're being original in that, but actually, coming out of the Jesus movement in the mid 70s, you had coffee houses. A church would have a building, or some believers would rent a storefront, and they literally, some guy with a guitar or a duet or whatever, and they would grind out, go from one venue to the next, and some of them hit it, and big, but I don't know that was their purpose, but they were doing the circuit and sleeping in their cars, and just trying to do some ministry and reaching people. And it's really fascinating to me that the independent artist is really doing what a lot of those Christian artists did originally, back when Christian music was gaining its sea legs. And that's why I think it's in many ways come full circle. And I think there's some good to that. There's some really good stuff to that. But I also think, like you say, Erskine, some of the best stuff being played right now, nobody knows about. It's not going to get radio play, so.
Yeah.
You know,
And so I will say that a couple of observations and responses to what you just said there. First of all, the episode that you just talked about there, at least the picture that you just talked about of the Christian artist who's going around from place to place, sleeping in their car, so on and so forth. I remember the last time I think that I slept in my car, I was in Jacksonville, Florida, and I didn't know anybody in Jacksonville, but I went to a big church there. There were some people who did some stuff in ministry and in music and different things. And in order to be able to meet them, I had to meet them early in the morning because I didn't actually have an appointment with them or was able to get an appointment with them. And so I was going to have
right.
to literally just talk to them on their way from their car to the building. And so I decided I'll go ahead and pull in the parking lot. I'll sleep in my car. When they get here, I'll be able to talk to them for just a couple of seconds and then I'll go on my way. And I remember after that episode, like my back hurt so much. And I thought, this has got to be the dumbest thing that I think that I've ever done. Lord, can I not sleep in my car anymore? And I don't think since then I've had to sleep in my car anymore. But I remember those days and thinking to myself, Lord, if you ask me to the place where I don't have to sleep in my car anymore, I will just serve you with such joy and such gladness all the
Yeah.
days of my Christian music career.
Yeah, Erskine, it's really interesting. A lot of churches, because Christian music was centered in the local church, to be honest with you, there were very few venues. There were a couple of things that would go on. Churches were in the habit of knowing how to host guests and artists and bands and groups and whatever. And to be honest with you, churches have gotten out of the practice of knowing how to do that. Off the, I saw the, okay, again, I'm going to put some dates on my life. I saw Don Francisco, the guy that sang "He's Alive." I saw him live in a group of about 100 people at a church that caught him, so to speak, going between two events, and it happened through a phone call. And hey, he said, sure. There was 100 people that showed up. I mean, can you imagine that? And that song just blew. I mean, at the time, "He's Alive," that song just kind of blew up, and he was just a long-haired, hippie dude whose dad had been a great professor at Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, Clyde T. Francisco. And we ended up getting to know Don Francisco's mom, Nancy. Weird stuff like that. We saw the Imperials back when Russ Taft and all those guys were with the group. We saw them when they were going between recording sessions at the First Baptist Church of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And the cool thing about it is they had their whole band with them, the brass section, and they, like on a weekend, they filled the whole place. And now, again, I know marketing and all that stuff and events and venues, but man, there was something fresh. There was something really, I love what you do, Erskine. I know it's hard. I know there's a lot of uncertainty in it. But man, you're walking a trail that was blazed by a lot of men and women early in the Christian music scene that brought out a lot of those great songs that are still standards in some places. And now there's good music being. The problem is, I don't think Christian radio is interested. It's going to be an indictment. But I don't think.
Well, we'll talk about something here in just a second. But I wanted to give my second point, which was essentially this. Once you start getting the industry involved in it, things begin to get a little bit shaky. And an example that you talked about a little bit earlier was the coffee shops. And I've been to various coffee shops around the country. And what invariably happens with these coffee shops is they say, man, we opened this coffee shop up because we wanted Christian musicians to have a place where they could play, they could share their music. We would provide a venue for them, and we'd provide an opportunity for our public to be able to come in and consume this. But what happens is, if I go and play at a Christian or a coffee shop, and that coffee shop, say for instance, somebody sees on my schedule that I was going to be at so-and-so's coffee shop because, it's publicized and it becomes public. Well, ASCAP then calls that coffee shop, hey, where's your performance rights, your CCLI license, and all the different things that you need to be able to have these people come in? And so I just got in a habit very early on, even though I could have made a lot of, or some money, I should say, it wouldn't have been a lot of money, but some money reporting all of these songs. It's a lot easier for me to just go to the venue, not necessarily tell a lot of people that I'm going to be at the venue, and allow a Christian coffee shop to remain open without having to have all these different licenses and things, because I'm the artist that's there. You have full permission to use my music.
Yeah, and see what I don't understand.
It gets a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and Erskine, what I don't understand is there's two things going on here that I think every Christian music artist faces. There is a business component. I want the artist to be able to make the labor is worthy of his hire. I want a musician to be able to make a living, and I know there's a business aspect, but I also know that when business gets involved in ministry, it's true in a church. Weird things happen that stifle creativity and the Spirit of God. And in fact, while some people get, maybe they've hit it and they're on the ascendancy, the seeds of their demise have already been planted. Because potentially because of things like what you say, that you have all these restrictions and you have all these things. I have a friend of mine who was in the music business as a manager and as a talent producer and all those stuff, and he helped develop and even discover some groups. And you know who I'm talking about, our mutual friend that goes to this church. And we talk about this all the time, that when business entered the music business, things got weird. And it's hard to explain to people who've never been up close to it like I have. I mean, and I'm up close to it because I've hosted events, I've known these people, I've been a part of conferences and whatever. And it's just so and business is concerned about business. And so I just applaud what you're doing and what hundreds of Christian artists are doing. It's old school. It's old school. And what I want, Erskin Anavatarte, I need a name like that, dude. I'm going to change my name. I'm calling
Erskin Music.
Yeah. Hey, but I would love Erskin to make it big. But I will tell you, the minute that you do, brother, I'm going to be praying for you, because the danger, what is it? Look at that, man. The danger,
you need a cartoon icon.
I need a cartoon. The dangers are many, and the road is fraught with different things. So, and yet, man,
yes,
some creativity, I mean, now that you've got my brain ticking, I'm thinking of Dallas Home and Praise. I haven't even thought of that in 20 years, man. This is weird.
Well, that name is already on the comment section. People who listen to Christian music are saying these names. Look. The Imperials, Keith Green, dude, Dallas Home and Praise.
Hey, listen to this, man. This is a great story. My wife and I had just been married. We go to see Keith Green in concert 6 months before he dies in a plane crash. I've told you this story. Mm-hmm. So we go at the time it was Kiel Auditorium. It's being renamed. It's where the Blues play. Packed out. And all that's on the stage is a grand piano. That's it. I looked at my wife and I said, "Sweetheart, baby doll, love dumplings. This better be good or we're leaving." So all of a sudden, they got the house lights and there's music, and out walks this mop-headed blue jean wearing, flannel shirt, barefooted dude, and he sits down at the piano. And what nobody told anybody is, first of all, the dude was classically trained. That boy could play the piano. And he sits down and
Oh
just
yeah.
starts. And then about 3 hours later, people were hanging from the chandeliers because he would sing and play and preach. And I mean, you felt like you had been in a bath of the Holy Spirit, man. And we walked out of there like, holy mackerel, what in the world was that? And that was a great privilege. Little did we know that just a few months later he would die in a plane crash. But man, that when I tell people I saw Keith Green in concert, they're like, "Oh, dude, like seeing a dinosaur or something like that." So,
Well, the funny thing about the story is I love the stories that I hear about Keith Green. I try to model some of what it is that I do after Keith Green. And so if anybody was wondering what the secret sauce was, obviously it's the Holy Spirit, but Keith Green is one of my models. He sings, he preaches, and he didn't mince any words. If you go back and you watch any videos, for those of you that are new to the audience on YouTube, of Keith Green and the way that he preached, he would come at you. And I'm just thinking, hey, you know what? One of the things that I struggle with is the Christian music industry is not ready for a preacher who is also a singer to be part of what it is that they're doing. Because, man, when you start bringing that word and you start bringing that word authoritatively, back up.
I'm going to tell you what he'd do, though. I remember this. He would preach, and he left no stone unturned. I mean, dude, it was scorched earth. Nobody was off limits. It didn't. I don't care. But then when he sang, you're thinking you can't hardly stand. You couldn't hardly stand his message because it was so convicting. And you wonder, okay, is this guy mean? Is he angry? And then he would go into a song where you would hear his heart, and it would draw you in so much that you're like, it would be like, okay, I can take the lashes that I deserve for my sin. And seriously, man, it was probably, to this day, and Erskine, I've seen everybody. To this day, it is still the single most moving concert I've ever been to. And so, and excluding Erskin and Avatarte.
Big head. He was doing good until he said that.
Yeah. Does it unnerve you to watch yourself there like that?
To have me watching me?
Yeah.
To be watching me, looking at me, looking at me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
But it's a show icon. So Big Head and I have conversations with one another, and we talk about decisions that we're going to make. One of the decisions that Big Head and I just made is we're going to break this up into part 1 and part 2. So I'm going to play a song called Merry Go Round. Yes, you can finally get your song Merry Go Round, for those of you who've been asking. Wait. Hang on a second. There's some radio people here from Kansas who have jumped on here this morning, Pastor Schrum, and who are talking about Rich Mullen. You're talking about Dallas Home. I mean, you just opened up the floodgates this morning.
Man,
I was about to go to part 2 in the racial reconciliation part, but people want you to keep going. And here, hang on a second. They want you to start talking about the fact that when Christian music is looking for its soul, and Christian music has sold out to some degree, what do you have to say about Hillsong and Bethel and all these other groups that are out there that seemingly are singing heresy and foisting that upon the church? They want your response on that. I can't even get to part 2 right now because there's so many responses that are coming in. Go.
So let me give you 3 or 4 things that I think can save Christian music or save the artist. Okay, now listen.
I'm going to write some of these down.
Okay, number 1 is the Christian artist has to stay biblical. I know that sounds so trite and whatever. I'm just telling you. Isn't it interesting? Like for example, the Gettys. The Gettys get traction because people are so hungry for biblically based theologically saturated words. And again, they're not the only ones doing that. Now they're real popular, but I think it's just really interesting. Now you got fluff songs and Christian radio, Kansas people. I'm talking to you. I don't owe you anything. You don't owe me anything. But I'm telling you, you got to start playing some music that has some meat to it. So that's number one. Number two, I think a Christian artist has to stay connected. Now, I know that Christian artists travel around. They're at different places. But if you'll notice, for example, I know Stephen Curtis Chapman's elder. He's a friend of mine. That his elder at his church. And so even though Stephen Curtis Chapman is out doing his stuff and he's probably not at church every week, but I also know that he's connected. And if you get a Christian artist that is there, first of all, there's no meat, there's no biblical theology. And I'm not saying you got to go to seminary, but I'm saying there has to be some substance to your singing beyond just a good lyric and a good turn. But also you got to stay connected. You got to stay connected to the church. And a lot of artists, I'll be honest with you, I have found don't like that. The church is messy. The church is too parochial. The church is too slow. They're on the jet set. Hey, there is no plan B. I'm sorry. I've read the book. It's plan A. and like it or not, the artist that stays connected in the best way they can is gonna probably make it. Number three, the artist needs to keep missional. That is that it's a very subtle move when a person moves from, okay, I'm on a mission. I want a mission. I'm sharing the gospel. I'm bringing hope. My songs are touching on all those big issues. That's great. All of a sudden, what happens is, as you're writing these songs, now the goal becomes, man, I need a good phrase there to make that lick turn back and singable. And all of a sudden, the subtlety of moving from the mission of what you're singing and what you're saying now comes to the production of what you're singing and saying. I know that sounds so slight, but I've seen it so many times, Erskine, where and we want to do excellent. We want to be excellent. I'll throw that in there too. So all of a sudden, the subtlety of moving away from the mission that God has given you to share the life-changing gospel of Christ can take so many turns. And again, you want to be excellent, and there's nothing wrong with production and all that stuff, but it's so subtle. And then all of a sudden, you find artists writing and singing songs that they have no connection to. They just have no soul connection to. They're more concerned about the production of it. They're more concerned about that stuff like that. And here's a final thing. And that is to be humble. So when I say, let me kind of go back through these again. When I say be biblical, I mean not just open up your Bible and find a phrase out of, like Beauty for Ashes, and say, oh, that's a good song, that's a good lick. No, the Bible needs to be a part of your being, your fiber, and then out of that can come all kinds of creative stuff. And then being connected to believers, and then being missional, never forgetting the mission, and then being excellent. Whatever you do, 1 Corinthians 10:31, whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God. And then finally, be humble. Man, have I met some dadgum arrogant.
I was going to ask you to share one story, but I think you might want to conceal the name to protect the guilty.
Which story you want me to tell?
The one where you were having to go into the trailer and tell them, hey, you're going to come out and sing.
Oh, dude. Okay, so a few years back,
I love this story.
A huge youth event downtown. and probably about 10,000 students. And I had been involved in this event. And then on this particular occasion, I was just a participant, but I knew the guy that was leading, kind of emceeing this. And it was kind of misty that day, not really rainy, but kind of misty, those heavy mists where you feel like you're wet all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to slip around backstage and say hello to my friend. And he is a nervous wreck. He's never done anything like this. And on that particular occasion, they had divided this group of about 10,000 students up into 4 groups, and they were all going to march to the Capitol downtown and converge and then have this big concert. So all of these kids and adults are gathering on War Memorial Plaza. I slip up behind the stage, and my wife laughs about this. I just told her, I said, "Hey, sweetheart, I'm going to slip around there and say hello to my friend. I'll be back in a minute." The next thing she sees, I get up there, and I said, "Hey, man, how's it going?" He goes, Kevin, man, you got to help me." I said, "What?" He goes, "Well, 2 things. I don't know what to say to these 10,000 kids. You got to get out there and welcome everybody." And then, and then the other thing is,
I think maybe he would have thought about that in the planning. There's going to be 10,000 people here. Somebody's got to say something.
Yeah, and basically, hey, the big welcome, and hey, Rob for Jesus and whatever. And then he says, "My artist won't come out of his trailer." I said, "Why not?" He goes, "Well, he doesn't. He doesn't going to sing, and he had all these crazy reasons." And my friend was having a meltdown. So I go back in the trailer and I look at this major artist at the time, and I was a little bit bigger than him. But I said, "Dude, you're going to go out there and you're going to sing. If I have to walk you out there, because I don't care." And
he went and roughed up some artists.
And I was going to take him behind a woodshed. And so I was serious with him, dude. I said, "You are going to go." And he was like, is a little going to be inconvenient for him. And I said, "There are 10,000 kids that have inconvenienced their lives, along with hundreds of adults. You're going to go out there and sing. Okay? You're going to do that." And then the next thing, and my wife laughs about this, I'm standing on the stage. Now, Erskine, I'm just an attendee who happened to go around.
You're just a humble guy.
I am on the stage saying, "Welcome to Nashville." And my wife is going, What are you doing on the stage?" And so I welcome everybody, introduced the lineup. It was hilarious, man. And the guy came out, and they had a guy that was going to speak. And I went back around, and I just took my place in the crowd. And people are looking at me like, "Would you just who are you?" I said, "Honey, She goes, "What were you doing on the stage?" And I said, "I told her the story." But that I'll never forget that artist. And then there was another artist that, they had to have a certain kind of water and had a certain kind of food. And okay, I guess the humility. I will tell you the opposite. I worked with New Song one time, Eddie Carswell, and those guys, Billy Goodwin, and all those guys. And I worked with them one time. They were the humble Russ Lee. Man, those guys were the humblest. They showed up at the event. "Hey, what do you need us to do?" They said, "Hey, we're here to serve." And we were paying them good money, but they were not so full of themselves. And that's why New Song, even though they're old school, I got to tell you some funny story about New Song. So they do the Winter Jam, that thing in Atlanta.
Winter Jam, yeah.
Yeah. So they host that, and they're usually kind of the last group to come on. So my son, about that time, is about 20. He goes down there, and they've got Erskin. They had at that time, they had anybody you could name that was famous. And they had this big concert. So my son gets back in town. I said, "Hey, dude, who was the best?" And he goes, "Dad, I got to tell you, the old men rocked the house." I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, everybody was good, but when New Song got up there and they had the whole band, those boys brought down the house. And I said, well,
Look at
son,
that.
I got to tell you, man.
Toby Mac, you're going to have to sit down for a second.
That's right. I said, they've been doing it for a long time and they have a servant's heart. And, Eddie Carswell's a great songwriter and all those things. But so anyway, man, those are some things, and it's not complicated, Erskine. I really feel for you and those other artists that are like you that are trying to really do some great ministry. And I applaud you. And that I've shared that with you before. But being biblical,
just so the audience knows, we know each other quite well because when I'm in town, we're hanging out together.
Yeah, and being biblical, and not just for songwriting purposes, but for your soul, and then staying connected. Get yourself a church, and then being missional, doing excellent work, and then stay humble and leave the rest to the Lord. And I mean, I could probably add 4 or 5 more things, but I think if you're looking at some foundational stuff, you can't beat those 4 or 5 things.
Well, you are getting so much love this morning. Look at one of the comments that one of the listeners has said. Remember what I told you last week? I said, hey, I'm going to backload this thing and I'm going to put my best guess at the end of my daily show time. And so I said, I told you, I'm going to save the best for last.
Uh-oh. Wow. Yeah.
You're just getting so much love here.
Yeah. And hey, I got to tell, I saw that there was a DJ listening. I think some of these DJs, no, I shouldn't say that. I'll get them in trouble.
No, get the DJs. The DJs, they're good.
What I was going to say is we need to have some of these DJs rebel and lock themselves in the studio and do what the dude did one time when I was living in Louisville, where this DJ wanted to play this song and the studio didn't want to play it. That guy locked himself in the studio and played the song. And it was what's that show that was on WKRP in Cincinnati?
WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah, man, dude, it was like a scene out of that, man. And he made the newspapers. This guy, so maybe, hey, some of you DJs out there, you need to get you an artist that's got some substance. Lock yourself in there, throw away your circuit playlist, and start playing some music, man.
And you will pay their employment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You'll have to go on unemployment or something like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if we can sneak in a part 2 real quick.
So man, we need to do what are we going to do here now?
Well, I've got like 10 minutes. But we need to talk about racial reconciliation so that we could, but it didn't take you more than 10 minutes to share what it is that you're going to share about racial reconciliation. It's like, you only have 3 words for the whole entire subject. You want to give them now?
And you want to give them?
I don't want to steal your thunder here.
Erskin,
let me just give a quick thing. I'm going to break it up into part 2 right now. We'll love this. Here we go.
Hey, by the way, why don't we do this? Let's be fair. I know this is your last daily broadcast. Is that right?
Yeah, we can get you on a weekend.
You know what you ought to do to give that fair hearing? We need to do that one in a separate one because I really want to. I don't want to shortchange that issue.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
we have a lot to say in that area. We've talked about a lot. We've spent hours on the subject over the years.
And hey,
that would be a disservice to spend 10 minutes.
Well, I have a couple more things I want to say about music. Okay.
Yeah, let's keep it there.
All right, music. Listen to me, artists, DJs, whoever you are. Music is a unique stewardship from God. I'm just telling you, it can move the heart either to good or bad. And I just want to encourage every artist, every songwriter, every DJ. Yes, I know that there's a business part of this, but dude, one day y'all are going to give an account. before the God of glory. And just like it says in James that I was reading this morning in my devotional time, it says, not many of you should be teachers because we'll receive the greater judgment. Dude, I live under that every day. So I don't want to hear this whining about, well, you don't understand. No, one day we're all going to stand before the Lord and give account for our words of how we have explained the Lord of glory. And in singing, you are explaining the Lord of glory to the people that hear you. And you don't want to stand before the Lord. Dude, what are you doing, man?
Well, I wanted to do the Rasta horn anyway because you're on fire at this point.
But
it's just stuck there.
But one day you're going to stand before the Lord of glory, and you're going to have to explain to the Lord of glory, were you a good steward of explaining God to the people that were listening to you? That's what music is. It's not just the good lick on the, you know, like I love Tommy Emmanuel, maybe the greatest guitar player ever. But it's not just about the music. It's about the whole of it. And
yes, and amen.
It's about the song and the lyric and the tune and all that stuff.
And the presenter.
Yes. And I just want to just remind you that that's a heavy weight to bear, but it's a glorious weight, because when it's done well and we bring glory to God, there is a satisfaction to the soul that cannot be replaced, and that fills you. So there is fulfillment in that. And so anyway, I you know, it grieves me over the years to see, you know, recently there was the lead singer for, what is it, Hawk Nelson?
Yeah, Hawk Nelson.
Yeah, just walked away and from the faith, and that's it.
He's
people
a pastor's
like,
son, wasn't he?
What's that?
He was a pastor's son, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. And you know, people are all up in arms. I'm thinking, hey, get in line. I can give you a list of people who have either abandoned the faith, wrecked the faith, and there have been a couple of them that have recovered. But it's hard once you in many ways, you get one shot, you get one life. And I know that's hard. Yes, God forgives, but it's just like a pastor. People ask me all the time, Pastor, if a pastor has been divorced, if a pastor has done this or that, can they pastor again? And my answer is, well, it depends. And even if there is an opportunity to do that, it'll never be the same. And God can forgive any sin, but he cannot remove the scars. And there are some scars that you may have to live with if you don't keep true and faithful to what God has called you to do.
I just want you to see what people are saying. They're saying things like this. They're saying things like this. This has just been so good. It's been so refreshing and encouraging. I would love to just follow up with all of yours, with some of my stories, and just talk about all the different ways that I've seen a lot of the people who are listening to this show and who are commenting today are those DJs who are playing the music that is glorifying the people, maybe some underground music. I know out in Kansas, they first started playing me when nobody else was playing me, and just love those guys out there, and California and other places in the country that are playing me. So DJs that are out there doing what it is you're talking about, artists that are out there, a guy by the name of Darren Mulligan, who's humble. And, you know, there's people who are out there who love the Lord and are doing what it is that you're talking about. This has been so insightful today.
Well, hey, I would just say that to the people in Kansas, remember, all we are is dust in the wind. Dust in the wind. That's all we are.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Hey, you know, we've been talking about doing the Ebony and Ivory tour.
I know.
Dude, I think
I don't even know how we're going to contain this to one broadcast of us talking about racial reconciliation when we have a whole tour lined out. Ebony and Ivory.
you better have a meltdown button, like an eject button when we get to talking about that issue.
Oh boy.
Man, Erskine, I love you, dude. I appreciate what you're doing, man, big time.
Yeah, I love
And
you too,
listen,
man. We need to get together because I'm about to go out.
hey, listen, I do love you, and all of you who are tuning in, or who will watch this later or read that, share this, man. And not because it's me or Erskine, but there's some really good substance here that it grieves my heart, Erskine, to see the music industry that's searching for its soul. It really grieves my heart to see some of the directions that it's gone. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I just wanted to see it succeed. And we have such an opportunity right now to share the gospel and all those things. So anyway, that's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, really appreciate what you gave there. I left your points of emphasis there scrolling on the screen. So for those of you who are tuning in on Facebook Live or will watch this rebroadcast or on YouTube Live a little bit later, international audience included, that is all there for consideration and really something for us to ponder on and to continue to think about each day as we have a new opportunity. You know, one of the things that you said there, Pastor Kevin, was that the struggle is hard, but the struggle is worth it. Jesus is worth it. All of the different things that you've talked about are not easy, but at the same time, we'll stand before the Lord and we'll give an account for what it is that we've done and what it is that we've said. And that brings us to the place where through medium like this and other avenues, we have an opportunity to broadcast that message. There's nobody that's holding us down. The man is not keeping us down.
Right.
And so
What
we have an
man?
opportunity to do that good and amplify that even in our day without a record label.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been an honor to be on here, Erskine. I love you, man. Love you. Like you just don't even know. Love what you're doing. And so the only problem you got, Erskine, is that you graduated from that other seminary in Texas. What is it? Southern Ocean, Southwestern. What is that place down there?
I think they had some of your favorite theologians down there, Paige Patterson and the like.
I graduated from the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, which, by the way, a definite article.
I love it. Hey, tell Janet thank you so much because you wouldn't be half of what you are if it wasn't for Janet.
Oh man, I love my wife. I love
Incredible.
My wife. Somebody asked me one time, Erskine, they said, "Do you really say that stuff to your wife, like sweetheart, baby doll, love dumpling, sugar mama?" I said, "You better believe it, and even more."
Yeah, he does. Well, we love you, man. Tell the family hello. Tell the church we said hello.
Let me tell you one
thing. You soon.
Erskine, tell me, can I say one more thing as we go?
Sure.
Maybe this goal that I have for myself will help you. God gave me a great start to ministry. I've been able to do and see things I never dreamed that I'd be able to do and see. I feel like I'm in the middle of a great ministry with my church, with other things I'm doing. But I want to tell you right now, with the help of God, I am going to finish well. And I'm not saying that arrogantly. I am bound and determined not to make shipwreck of my faith. And I say this all the time. I say it not to brag. I say it because I'm more aware of my weakness. And I would tell every artist out there, every DJ, every songwriter, every minister, you make a commitment to not become a silly old man or a silly old woman who makes shipwreck of their faith, and to stick with it all the way to the end. And one day we will see him face to face, and it will be worth it all.
Amen. That is well stated, my friend.
Hey, love you, dude.
Go get some lunch or something.
All right, man.
Love you. Take care. Was Pastor Kevin Schrum. And this is the Erskin Music Show. Erskin Music Show, Pastor Kevin Schrum, all the stuff that we've been talking about throughout the course of these daily shows and then Kevin Schrum. Makes perfect sense to me why Kevin Schrum would be on this show, saying the things that he's saying and doing the things that he's doing. You know, we talked about yesterday the essence of Erskine music to strengthen churches, to engage the culture, and to create impactful art. That's what our motto is and what it is that we do every day. And so those were some soul-affirming, life-giving principles that Pastor Kevin Schrum gave us so that we don't become silly old men, silly little women who are going off into the affairs of the world, but that we stay true for Jesus and we do what we do to the glory of King Jesus. And so it has been an honor to be able to do the Erskin Music Show. Each day is a daily iteration. We will now switch to some weekend broadcasts, some special presentations, and we're going to have to figure out some time to get Kevin Schrum back on. So stay connected, stay in tune. All the social media stuff is there for your taking. And we look to continue to give you guys some quality content as well as some quality music. I'll be back in the studio, I believe, in August, working on a new single for the fall. And so you'll just want to stay tuned. There's a lot of exciting things that are going on there. And for those artists that are out there, continue to do what you're doing. God bless you. May the Lord strengthen you. And I think there's probably only one song that we could play on the outro here. And it is Jesus worth it? The obvious answer to that question is yes, he is.
No fairy tale, I stared right into a rifle barrel. It all comes down to this: is he worth it? This is no dream, it's reality. They stole my love and my dignity. It all comes down to this: is he worth it? This is